get it to convert correctly, we will have that available on YouTube so that you can go back and refer to it if you need to. So I first of all want to thank all of you for joining us this morning, and thank all of you for agreeing to judge in our engineering design competition this year. This is the first time we are doing this on a statewide level. A lot of districts and schools have done this on a much smaller scale. We've had, I think, one small regional competition as well within the state, but this is the first year we're doing a much larger scale statewide competition. There are cash prizes thanks to Abbott Labs, so we're really excited about that. We have 84 students who have registered. That will comprise some number of teams, probably about 25. We'll talk through, obviously, today how you will access all the portfolios that you will be assigned. Don't worry, you're not going to have 25 that you'll need to go through. There's a magic button that I push that will distribute them accordingly, so my guess is you'll probably have somewhere between 3 and 5 portfolios to review. We have multiple judges reviewing the same portfolio. So letting everybody know, the engineering design and development course is typically a junior or senior level course in high school. These students have gone through other Project Lead the Way courses typically. This is considered a capstone course. They are working through a project through the engineering design process. All of that has been laid out for them. The topic of their project is totally up to them. They will start out at the very beginning of the school year thinking about things that bother them or that annoy them and that they would like to improve. So that's how they come up with their ideas. They are not given ideas from their teachers. They're not given ideas from our corporate partners. The ideas are exclusive, and the problems to solve are developed by the students. And then they go through the entire process, and the result of all of their work comprises the portfolio that they submit to the innovation portal. So Mark will walk through all of that today. But just kind of wanted to ground you on all of that. Let's see, we have 10, potentially 11 judges from different areas. We have some folks from industry, we have some professors, so we have a good, I think, cross-section of backgrounds for the judging. And then our top probably 5 or 6 teams will present at our Project Lead the Way Expo, which will be held at the Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago on May 27th. So those of you that are local, we would love for you to participate in that as well. We will need some in-person judging there as well. So that's kind of a separate step, and we'll talk about that later. But I think, the only other thing I didn't mention was our sponsors. So we are, and they're listed at the top there, we're being sponsored by the Illinois Institute of Technology, Abbott, the Illinois Manufacturers Association, Illinois Project Lead the Way, and then potentially we will also have some connection with the Wisconsin Innovation Service Center as well. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over, Mark, to you.
Sure. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for sneaking in and giving us your time. The kind of agenda I have set for you is on the screen at the moment. The number 2 there, I understand from Sina that you guys are way ahead of the mark and have already done that, so we'll kind of gloss over that just in case you haven't made the connection from your innovation portal account and connecting it with the actual competition, so Sina can distribute the portfolios to you. But we're going to do some kind of housekeeping stuff first, but then the mental picture I can give you is this is analogous to an online science fair, but rather than coming to a gymnasium, sitting in an auditorium before the competition starts and having your training there and then being handed a clipboard and then running out into the gymnasium and grading your projects and coming back, we have put all this online so that you can grade at your leisure. So that's one thing I will refer back to later. If you're in the middle of grading a portfolio and need to run, even in mid-sentence, you can log off your computer, and then when you come back and turn it back on, you can take up right where you left off. So you don't have to grade a portfolio in one sitting or in any portion of it before you submit it to CINA, which is a nice aspect of being online. So with that analogy kind of in your mind's eye, the goal of today is to show you the interface that allows that to happen. Where do I find the scoring sheet online? How do I access the portfolios that CINA is assigning to me? And how do I get a hold of the rubric? So we're going to kind of walk through all that. I have a demonstration to share with you, and as we do that, we'll please feel free to either enter a question in the chat session over there, or just kind of stop me in midstream if you have a question, and I'll reiterate something. But that's kind of the a day in the life of a judge is the goal of today's training. So let's take a look at number one there. First of all, one thing I do want to offer is that in order to put this all online, even though it looks like a website, it's actually an online web application. It's a whole lot of programming behind there. And for all that functionality to work and the interfaces to work, the browser that you happen to access it with, so you can access this from work or at home, on the road, as long as you have an internet access and a browser, you're all good. But the browser you're using has to be relatively up to date. So if your browser is out of date, there's a couple things. There's one source that I have here on the screen for you to use. You call up your browser and type in whatsmybrowser.com. It pings your browser and tells you, hey, you got the newest version. And if you don't, it shows you how to update it for free. That functionality is also built into the Innovation Portal. If you go to the innovationportal.org and you see a yellow strip across the top basically telling you, hey, your browser seems to be out of date, here's how to update it, please do that. If you don't see that yellow strip, then you're all okay. So that was one of the first 99.9% of all the issues we have with the Innovation Portal comes from schools or students or teachers having their IT department having a browser that was several years old, that kind of thing. So with that piece of information out of the way, we'll kind of get started. And like I said, this is what CINA needed to do, but it sounds again like most of you or all of you have already gone through these steps, which was to create your own Innovation Portal account. And then once you've done that, to send CINA the email address that you use to create the account saying, it works, I'm in, and then CINA would turn around and then invite you, send you a second email from the Innovation Portal saying you've been invited as a judge, and once you accept that, either through the Innovation Portal itself or through the email invitation, then your bucket, if you would, is connected to the competition, even though the bucket's empty, and ready for for CINA to distribute the portfolios to you. So I wanted you to have, before I jumped over to the Innovation Portal and kind of showed you the interface, I created this kind of cartoon version of what's happening. It's pretty straightforward, but I just wanted you to have this in your mind's eye as we work. Over to the left, the student teams have all been working to create from the beginning of the year. They see the same interface that you do. So one thing to note is if you'll picture a 3-ring binder mailed to you with little tabs sticking out the side, this is one of the ways we've been able to organize the information so that the teachers are coaching them what artifacts to put in tab A, if you would, and you will see it just as each of the portfolios, even though they're from different parts of the state and different classes, they're all organized in a very structured way, so that makes it great for judging. So the point that is worthy of making here is the exact same rubric and the exact same template, so you see it as they built it, they have been using from day one. So the rubric, word for word, that you're going to be using to grade is the rubric and resources that the students have had from day one, and that's how a rubric should be used, and that's good. So the students are over there doing that work. There you are over on the right with all of your individual accounts connected to the competition, represented here by the little blue dot with the trophy in it, your buckets, if you would. And it's from here on out, it looks something like this. The students have already registered their interest. That's how CINA knows that there's 84 students out there. There won't be 84 projects. They register individually, but they will be, however they work in teams, they will be submitting one portfolio as a team portfolio. And then they've been building their portfolios, and on the 13th, the window for submission has opened, and that window will stay open through next Friday. And if they're typical of our other competitions, 3 or 4 teams will submit like right away, and the rest of them will wait till 3 minutes before the window closes. But that's that's how it goes. But they will essentially start submitting their portfolios, which looks like this, and Sina can see these portfolios coming in. And then when the window closes next Friday evening, that's the bulk of the portfolios that need to be graded, and she will probably wait a day to make sure that there's no edge cases where, like in one case in Oklahoma last year, we had a tornado rip through and it just killed all the the chances for students to come to school, so they were out for a couple of days, and we just extended the time so that they could submit their portfolios. But we'll wait that extra day on the 25th to make sure there's edge cases. And then Sina mentioned that she has the functionality to set the number of times each portfolio should be graded by the group of judges, and also that algorithm makes sure that you don't see the same portfolio twice. So as soon as she is ready to distribute those portfolios, it will look something like this. They will be randomly distributed to all of you, and the point here is that even though there may be 25 or 30 portfolios, you won't see all of those. You'll just see the ones assigned to you, which is both a good thing and a bad thing in a way. I'll take a sidestep here. Like I said, the portfolios and the work will be a wide range. You may receive some amazing portfolios and then some that needed some help. So you just like grading a science fair, you just stick to the rubric and grade it for best fit as you see it. But the downside of being able to grade from your desk is that, unlike walking out onto the floor, where even though you're focused on the clipboard and the projects that you've been assigned, you can also get a glimpse of what else is going on and how large the scope of the competition is. So we're going to try to give you some sense of that after the competition is over, even though that's you in the corner with your 3 portfolios. We're going to try to show you what the winners look like as well. Anyway, as you grade, I want to make this note. There's a couple of models that judges have been using, and you can kind of consider both as I introduce them here. One is that you can grade a portfolio start to finish and then submit it. Once you submit it, Sina is able to see it. You get to keep a copy of it, and you can go back and look through it and use it as a reference for your other 2 portfolios. But once you actually submit it, it's kind of written in stone. You can't make any other edits. Some judges like to grade 1 and submit it, grade a 2nd and submit it, and grade a 3rd and submit it. Other judges like to grade the entire thing, but not just submit it yet. So you still have access to all your grades. And they like to go look at the 2nd and the 3rd portfolio and go back and forth and use their own portfolios to reference each other. And when they are comfortable with the grades that they have assigned to all of their portfolios, then they go back into each one of those and formally submit them at the end. Either one of those methods works for whatever comfortable with you. But as you push the submit button, Sina can only see that the review is in progress from you. But once you submit a score, it shows up on her computer, and she gets up every morning and looks at the progress of the competition and can start, and the scores will be averaged. So each portfolio is graded by more than one judge, and those scores, as they're submitted, the averages start to pile up, and just and the highest scores rise to the top, and the lowest scores go down, and she can kind of review what everybody's doing. So there's that communication back and forth. Again, I wanted to mention that the students and the interface that you're seeing, you are seeing it exactly as they built it, tab for tab, and we're going to talk about the rubric. The students have connected with their partners. Their partners can be in the same school or anywhere else in the world. It doesn't really matter. They've connected with their teacher and their mentors. So they've had this feedback around this rubric saying, okay, I think, and you'll see that the rubric is laid out very much like an AP score. I think at this part of the rubric you're at a 2 at the moment. This is what I advise you to do to get a 3. So as a judge, it was very important for us to let you know that the students aren't surprised by this rubric. They've been seeing it since day 1. So they're trying to get it ready for you, and as soon as they get it ready, and they said this is the best best order and structure that we can give, they can submit it to competitions like the Illinois design competition. And then, side note, the students can make as many portfolios in their accounts as they'd like. One for this class, one for that class. It's the same structure all along. This is the last slide before I jump over and show you the interface. One of the things that Sina will also be sending you, we have 4 resources for judges. Three of them are represented here. The first off to the left is kind of a pictorial step-by-step guide of what I'm going to show you today. It's pretty straightforward, but sometimes people like to have the physical document to go back to. We're also, the second isn't represented here, but we are recording this session, and my efforts in the first session to to upload the video to YouTube and make it work have failed, so we're going to try it again today. When I get that recording up on YouTube, I'll share that link with Sina, and she can send it back to you. So you can go back and fast forward and through this demonstration today and find a spot that may be confusing and look at it. And then also you'll have my email and Sina's as a resource for you as judges. The third and fourth resource represented here is in the middle of the screen. There are reflective questions taken from the rubric, or Socratic questions. They actually start each one of those with, did you offer the reviewer of this portfolio these items? So the students have those questions in front of them, and they're also, we found, very useful for judges to see those things. So we're sending you a physical copy of that, but I'll show you where those exist in the interface as well. And then finally, the last resource for you is a physical copy of the entire rubric. The letters EDPPSR, I will tell you where that came from. It's worthy of note. The rubric was not made by Project Lead the Way. We were heavily involved in it, certainly, but it was part of a large National Science Foundation grant with a dozen universities and folks who teach engineering design, trying to capture what are the attributes of the design process that we measure at the collegiate level. If we make a rubric like that, we span it over and create examples. Over the last 4 years, this rubric has been developed and verified. Portfolios have been taken from the innovation portal and put in front of reviewers, and then for inter-rater reliability and kind of things like that. So I'll make a side note here. One of the other resources that students have at their fingertips, and you will too, are scored examples from that NSF study. But again, some judges prefer to have the physical rubric sitting on their desk and just access the portfolios on the screen and find that easier. So we wanted to make sure all of these resources were available to you. So as I switch from this last slide over to the innovation portal, I'll kind of pause. But first of all, are there any questions relative to the information I just shared with anybody as I do that?
I'm good.
All right. Perfect. So let me jump into the innovation portal. And as you come to the innovation portal site, and like I said, from what Sina told me, all of you have created accounts. And if you've used the Remember Me button like I have, it just kind of logs you in. But I wanted to walk you through the process. One of the things worth mentioning right now is, as I logged in, on the innovation portal, when we were doing the design requirements for it, we found out that there was actually a case for not creating something like a judge's account or a student's account or a teacher's account, because in many cases we found out that people do 3 or 4 of those roles at once. So there's just an account. The students have the same kind of account you do. And that's worth mentioning here, because as you log into the innovation portal, the default page takes you to where we are on the screen. It takes you to the portfolios. So these are all the portfolios that I'm associated with or have created. It's just saying, okay, what portfolio did you want to work on? So don't be alarmed by that, but as a judge, as you come, it just defaults to the My Portfolio page. Where we'll need you to go once you log in is actually down here to the Opportunities page. So I'm going to click on that link, and it takes you to the Opportunities. And currently, I'm going to draw your attention, if I can, to where it says Filter by Current Opportunities and Past Opportunities. Now, the Illinois competition is shown here because it's available for students. It's open. Students can start submitting portfolios, so it's considered a current competition. However, this is something I'll work on my designers with, because this is not intuitive, but it's worth mentioning. As soon as that window closes next Friday, the Illinois competition will actually be thrown into the past. So I'm going to click on the past here, as you would, and I'll show you the demonstration competition I have ready for all of you. So you would come to Opportunities, and then even though you wouldn't see Illinois here, you would click on Past, and the Illinois competition would show up along with these other ones. Here's one from Kansas City. This group is only a week ahead of you. Those judges have gone through the same training, and they're busy drinking coffee and grading their portfolios just as you will. So the Illinois one will be here. The one I have for you to demonstrate today is this NSF scoring workshop opportunity. So if you'll imagine Illinois up here and the competition you're assigned to. When you find the one you're looking for, you just click on it and open it up. It will default to the actual posting, but the unique thing here, because now that you've accepted to be a judge, and I'll circle it, you will have this bar in front of you. And to open your bucket, you would click Reviews. And you can do this right now, but if you go there right now, it will just be a message saying no portfolios have been assigned to you yet. The buckets are empty, and they won't be till next week. But as you go to Reviews, here I have 48 portfolios. You won't be assigned 48, but these are ones that have been assigned to me to look at. And I want to draw your attention to a couple of things. The title of the portfolio, in this case, the owner, you will see where all the students who are listed as owners and where they're from. We'd be all in Illinois in this case, but you'll see where they're from. So there's one portfolio and another. I'd like to draw your attention to the word complete here. All this means is that it's telling me that when I went back and looked in my bucket, it's just a verification that I have finished and submitted my review or my scoring for that particular portfolio. I can go in and look at it by clicking on New Carbon Anode and seeing what I gave everybody, but I wouldn't be able to edit it. So I'm going to scroll down here to some ones that say active. Here's some ones that say active, and you got to love the name of this one. So we'll go inside this one, the melanator. So this is one that's been assigned to me. Yours would look very similar to this. If you had 3 portfolios, they would be here. So we know that we haven't submitted that one yet. It's still active. So I'm going to click on the title of it, and it takes you right inside the portfolio. And when it takes you inside the portfolio, this is one of the portfolios that was used for scoring in the NSF group. But I want to draw your attention now, if I can, over to the right-hand side of the screen. I mentioned before a 3-ring binder mailed to you. If you picture that little plastic insert on top, the portfolios default to, and I'll hover over it, they default to the cover page. There's nothing to grade here. This is just, generally students put pictures of themselves, information about their school, and probably why they chose the project and some background about the project. You can certainly access that information, but it just defaults here and there's nothing to grade. The letters A through N are the tabs where students were instructed to put the artifacts relative to the design process. Some of those are longer, some of those are very short, but these attributes, and I'll hover over letter A. Letter A is the presentation and justification of the problem that is being presented. And I'm going to click on A and just let you know that this takes you inside the portfolio. It's kind of like opening it, and you can scroll down and read what the students have submitted. But if you remember from my analogy about being handed a clipboard and a rubric, I want to show you how to access the rubric online, even though you're being mailed a physical copy of it. And this is the same way the students have accessed this rubric. As I hover over or mouse over letter A, several things jump up. There's a lot in this panel that opens up, and I want to show these resources to you. The first thing that's available is the rubric itself. The wording of the rubric is here. It jumps to the highest score of 5, and then the NSF researchers have told us to think of the rubric as a staircase. So as you click on 4 and see the wording, you'll see some of the wording repeated, but as you go down the staircase in terms of scores, what's being asked for becomes less and less refined, less and less detailed, if you would. So there's a lot of the same wording as you go from one to the other, but the goal of the rubric was to make the difference between a 0 and 1, the same difference between a 1 and a 2, all the way up. And as for judges, it is important to note that this is a best fit, meaning if it's more like a 3 than a 4, then make it a 3, in your opinion. So there's one way to access the rubric. I'm not choosing a score here. I'm just asking for what is the score descriptor for a 4. One of the other things I mentioned was the Socratic questions, and they're up here. It says, did you offer the reviewers of this portfolio to access the same questions the students can? Again, we sent you a physical copy, but here they are for letter A. And it's kind of almost a checklist, and this is why I wanted to show it to you as a judge. Students were taken from this rubric. Did you offer the reviewers of this portfolio a clear and concise problem statement that offers kind of a cause and effect phrasing? Did you have timely evidence supporting the problem all the way down? So these general ideas about the letter A. So that's available to you in each one of these letters. The rubric is available to you. And then I want to offer one more thing before I show you where the scoring sheet is. If you look beneath the rubric, now this is not required, but sometimes we find that this is available. During the NSF process over the last couple of years, we don't have a full scoring set yet. We will soon, but not in time for your competition. So we don't have a scored example of a 5. But if there is a scored example, I'm going to show you how to access it. It's down here, and I'm going to click this link. But before I do, if you draw your eyes to the top.
I lost the sound, Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry. How about now? Can you hear me?
You're doing fine here, Mark.
Okay.
I can hear. Yeah, you're fine here. I don't know, Bob. Who lost it?
Technology.
Yeah.
All right. Sina, I tell you what, I'll continue, but if maybe in the chat window you want to ask who lost the sound, and we can see if we can get them back on. But we know that sound will be on the recording. That would be good. And I'll just kind of continue. Hopefully the sound comes back on. What I did want to offer is, as I hover over that, here's the scored element examples down here. And when I click this, it doesn't take you away from the portfolio. It just opens a new tab. It downloads the example, and I wanted to show you. I'm taking it very slowly on A here, but I wanted to show you all the resources for you that are available if you want to use them. And these were also available to the students and teachers. Dozens of reviewers have scored this. They found it to be a 3. This is their explanation of why it's a 3 and why it's not a 4 or a 2, where it fits in these steps of the design process. There's the whole rubric, worded piece for piece. But as we go down, I'll give it some context here. This particular example, I remember reading it. It's the problem statement, to give it scope. It's about the light bulbs, the LED light bulbs that have replaced stoplights in traffic signals. So they're much more efficient in terms of electrically, and they last longer, so they should actually save municipalities money. But it turns out, at least in this project, they had found lots of evidence to say that in northern climates, that's not exactly true all the time. Ironically, the incandescent bulbs that cost more money to run, the excess heat that they were giving off was enough to keep the lenses free from accumulation of sleet and snow on the lenses. So what happens is, in inclement weather like that, because the LEDs give off almost no heat, they would just build up on the lenses, and they would spend more money sending trucks out there to clear off the lenses during snowstorms and things like that than they would save throughout the year. So the students have created this problem statement. Remember, this is a 3. They submitted, zoom in a little bit here, they submitted these articles, an article summary and links to the articles for you as a judge to say, remember, it was about timely evidence. So this one was from 2010, and about an accident report where this had happened. Some more articles showing that this is in different places, Oswego, Illinois, accident there, and on down. This group had even reached out to some transportation engineers and gotten some quotes from them. In this case, they've tried 2 different products to alleviate this, and none of them worked. So after reading this portfolio, I found out that if you guys can solve this one, I think there's a beach house in Malibu waiting for you. And then on down to another article I'll just share with this. It had a nice of the problem that these students were doing. So this is what these students had submitted, and relative to the rubric, all of those reviewers had given this a 3. So it's just a way for you to touch base and see what other people have done if we have those examples. So I'm going to run up to the top and close this, and it just closes that tab, and I'm back on top of the portfolio. So one of our jobs in judges training was to show you how to access the rubric online, and you do that by mousing over this. Now let's give you your clipboard and your score sheets, if you would. And to do that, we're on letter A, and I'm going to draw your eyes down here to the lower right-hand corner. There's a pen quill down here, and what that does is it opens the scoring sheet right over the top of the student's work. I have a wheel mouse here. I'm going to spin it. You can see that you can read the work and review the work as you go down, but this was an exercise in screen real estate on the computer. So if the scoring sheet is in your way, you simply push the down arrow and it hides it for a moment, and you can see the whole screen, and then you can bring it back up. And then this is where you score for element A. And we're going to do that right now. I'm going to type some gibberish over here. I'll type some different gibberish. There we go. Amazing typing skills. But if you have a comment saying this is, good job here, but I think this could have been better for this way, this is where you enter those comments. It's not required, but if you want to make a comment or explain your score, you do it here. Where you actually choose a score is up here in the upper right-hand corner. So you can, in this case, we looked at this and thought, okay, this is best fit is a 2. You can choose a 2 here. And then if you want to look at the rubric, there's one more place we put for judges, and it's in this little plus symbol. I'm going to click this, and it opens this kind of floating rubric that you can move around and out of the way. And again, it's best fit, so we're trying to zero in, does this best, after what I've read, does this describe a 3? Read the 3 again, say, no, really, mostly it's a 2, so I feel pretty good about the 2. I'm going to close the window, choose the 2, have my comment, and that's it. There's no save button. It's been saving every few microseconds. So as I mentioned before, if you needed to get up or log off and leave, you can come right back to this element and keep going. We're going to just add another score here to, I don't know, element E. We'll just jump down here to element E, the use of STEM principles. Same thing, the rubric, the Socratic questions, the scored examples. And if you're familiar with that, there's the score sheet. We're going to give them we'll give them a 4. And I will type a string of the letter G. I'm doing this on purpose because in a second I'm going to show you the summary page that you get to review with all of your comments and scores in one place, and to make sure that you feel good about what you're about to send in, and then you can send it in. So we've just done that. So we've scored A and E. I want to make a note here about elements M and N. When you click on element M, we are working on having some words here for the judges to say there was nothing to submit here. As a matter of fact, students can't submit. But in order to get the system to work, elements M and N are literally your scores about the portfolio as a whole. So students will only be submitting artifacts in elements A through L. M and N are there, and they just fit right into the structure saying, did they how was their documentation? Did they explain their charts? Did they explain their graphs? Explain what they were doing well? Did they offer supporting materials? And then element N is about the consideration of the audience. Did they use acronyms that you had to go to and look up 100 times, or did they consider audience in explaining their work? So again, M and N are to be scored, but they are just basically holistic grades on letters A through L. And we'll give N a score here. Again, the sheet comes up, and then we'll add some text, and then it's saved as we went. We chose a 3, and when we're done with this portfolio, to take a look at it like buying something off Amazon, you get to see a summary review. That is up here. So when you're all done grading a portfolio, you come up to complete review, and I'm going to click that, and it shows me a summary of what I've just done. And you can see my scores off to the left. For letter A, it shows me the comment I made. I gave it a 2. Everything else defaults to a question mark, and that's telling you that I haven't graded it yet. So I may want to go, at this point, if I can use the back button and go back and grade it. So this lets me know that I can take a quick look at what I've done. There's the 4 for letter E and all my amazing typing. And then we scroll on down. There's letter N, and we had given that a 3 in our comment. When this page looks good to you after you've gone through this, and again, I'm going through this very slowly, to give you a reference point, the judges we spoke to, they report back that the first portfolio, because they're jostling paper and looking for the scoring sheet, takes roughly an hour, depending on what they're doing, maybe less. and then the next two go much quicker because they got a handle on the rubric, and that's typical of the science fair too. So if this all looks good to you, and you've gone back and made sure that there's a score in each one of those spots, and like I said, you don't have to comment. If you want to, there's a place for it. Then down here, this is going to require you to click this radial button saying, I understand that after I hit complete review, I won't be able to edit. So if you are one of those judges, or your judging style is that, I feel good about the scores, but I want to see my other two portfolios first. At this point, you just go back to opportunities and jump back in and go get your next portfolio and grade it. We haven't turned anything into Sina. She just can see that it is an active review. If that is your style, we'd go back and grade the second portfolio and then again leave it before we wouldn't click the I understand button and go do the third portfolio. And when all of them felt good to us, we come back to each portfolio, click this one, and it's as simple as clicking this button, complete review, which I just did. You can submit it with question marks in there. And then I want to go back. The last thing I'll show you today is I'm going to go back inside there and show you that that has now changed from complete to active, or from active to complete, pardon me. So I'm going to jump inside, and we're going to go back inside the melanator. I love the title of that. And you can see that what was active before is now complete. So this is just a visual cue to you to go back inside your bucket and check complete. So if the cracked iPhone screen, humidity issues on Guam, and the melanator had all said complete, I know that I can be assured that Sina has all my scores turned in. And that's it for being a judge. So that's kind of an overview of the process. And again, I've tried to create a pictorial version of this and step by step, and submitted that to Sina, and she'll be emailing all of you those resources. But as we look at the, I'm going to just mute that. As we look at this process, is there any questions about the process so far, or anything you'd like me to go back and review?
I assume, Mark, that if we have scored one, added comments, but are not ready to submit it yet, want to go back and look at the others as you demonstrated, that all the existing scores and comments are retained until we do get around to finally submitting it.
Yes, sir. The system is saving every few microseconds in the background. So almost every time you type a letter, it's saving in the background. So if you were typing the word and only got AN before you decided to jump over to something else, when you come back, that ANN and the score you put there would be there. So excellent question, and the answer is absolutely yes. When you go back, everything will be retained.
Okay, good.
Good question. Other thoughts or concerns about the interface or the process? You guys are amazing. All right. Sina, did you have some thoughts or some closing remarks for everybody?
Yes, just wanted to let everybody know I'll send out an email later this afternoon with a revised set of steps for doing the judging. It's exactly what Mark just went through. It's just now it's, and I think I sent the file out earlier as well, but we did some slight revisions to it. So it's just all the steps on how to go through the process. And some other resources that will go out to you as well. We had a request on the Monday session to have I guess like a practice portfolio available. So once all of the portfolios are submitted for our competition, we will add in like a dummy practice portfolio. You don't have to do it, but if you feel more comfortable going through and just reading, each thing and scoring it appropriately, you can do that. And this is like totally a practice, so if you mess it up, it doesn't matter. So we will let you know when that happens, but it will not be until the rest of the portfolios are submitted and then distributed to you guys, so don't expect that to be there for a couple of weeks. Any questions, anything we didn't talk about that you aren't sure of? All right. Well, thank you to everybody, and I look forward to seeing the great work that our students submit to us. So thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sina.
Thanks.
Got it.
Thank you, folks.